Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. It's been obviously kind of a big week for everybody. Halloween last Monday. Hope everyone had a safe Halloween. Of course, we know what happens the day after Halloween. Open enrollment started, and I can tell you by the numbers I'm seeing so far, it's been going great. We've been ridiculously busy, just as we expected. Also had daylight savings time. My personal least favorite day of the year, but you know, some people absolutely love it. I just always get confused and you have to go around and fix all the clocks, but I hope everybody did something great with their extra hour yesterday. And then tomorrow, big election. Everybody, if you don't, just try to go vote. Luckily, I had a mail-in ballot. I'm already done. You can check that off the list. Don't have to worry about having my day interrupted. But the nice thing about us being self-employed, the joy of the 1099 world, we can go to the polling places when it's not busy. We can kind of pick and choose our time. So those things are always big wins for us. So I hope everybody had a great week last week. You're ready for another busy week this week. A lot of my friends who are agents, working this weekend on the kitchen table, having the kids around, that kind of stuff, making sure that you're helping every customer as much as possible. In the thoughts of helping a customer, I thought we'd talk this week about effective communication. It is extremely important. It's going to help shorten your sales process. It's going to get you through things a lot faster. So thought we'd start with a good Milton Erickson quote. The effectiveness of communication is not defined by the communication, but by the response. That is very true. Communication styles do have to change per client. So all day long, you kind of have to mimic and mold into what your client is thinking. And by doing that, you will get the desired response, which obviously in our case is the sale. So happy Motivation Monday. So to jump right in, for any of the new people on the call, we're going to start with the tip of the week, then we take a look at the trends, so what happened last week. We take a look at our sales leaders, which, do we have sales leaders this week? And then we're going to end with the effective communication, so our sales technique. So to preview what the tip was last week, which is not super important this week, was just to make sure to go through and preview the plans in the future to let you know the week before open enrollment. Healthcare.gov does have those major medical plans that you can take a look at. And so you can start doing your price comparisons, create those cheat sheets. But the tip of this week is that we have a really, really great new product that is out there. It is through America's Healthcare Plan. It was emailed out last week. You should take a look at that email from AHCP.com. So it is going to be a minimum essential coverage plan for self-employed individuals that is $67.50 a month. So this is to help get out of that, the penalty for the individual mandate there. So it is penalty-proof protection from the individual mandate. The client will get a 1095 there, and it's just $67.50 a member. So take a look at that email if you aren't appointed yet. If you haven't taken a look at getting contracted with that carrier, this would be really great for you, especially during open enrollment, knowing that, A, you can make a way for your client to not get that penalty, lower how much they're paying a month, and then you can still get them in a really quality short-term plan. So you can help them with that protection. So you can have a good short term, you can mix it with this, you actually can make commission off of it too, which is always a big plus, right? And then, knowing that your client is going to be saving a lot of money. The nice thing is about this as well, it does help, obviously, because it is going to be MEC, so minimum essential coverage, so it will help with those essential health benefits like newborn screenings, vaccination, counseling, mammograms, well-woman visits, and this is a really amazing opportunity just to sell that short term and make it as cost effective to prevent your client from getting that penalty. Take a look for those emails. If you can't find it, please reach out, training@hcpsales.com, and I will make sure to get that email sent out to you again. It's a really good opportunity. I'm personally extremely excited over it if you can't tell right now, but it is really good. Take a look, read through that email. Now to take a look at the trends. So obviously, we have a huge increase in major medical sales. It's open enrollment, that's a given. Melina leading the way. We had a huge increase in short-term medical as well with that NatGen short-term. Now the thing is, I've heard a lot of agents doing this and doing it right is finding the way to position that short-term medical plan while taking a look at what that penalty is and kind of making it into that monthly. We talked about it last week. That video is up on how to do those plan comparisons and figure out which one is the most cost-effective. Agents are obviously doing a really good job on that because we have a huge increase in short-term medical sales. We also have a good increase in accident through the AHCP. So if you haven't taken a look at the AHCP product, there is a training video in the video area on our website. It's a really, really good accident plan out there, so a good accident medical expense. We also had a 40% increase in critical illness sales, so good old CVL leading the way there. And then my favorite, of course, as everybody knows, is dental, because that is your retention product. So 140% increase in dental. So Team Corp, pretty given one there. Strong dental plans. There is a new dental product too out through NatGen if you haven't taken a look at that yet. It is only in limited states though, so it's in about 12 states, but it's a really, really powerful product using a really great network. Take a look at that. It's really easy to tie into those major medical sales if that's what you're pitching. So the sales shout out this week. Oh man, it was a great, great, great sales week. I love the beginning of open enrollment. This week always makes me so happy. So taking a look right away with the major medical, Pete DeBala just killed it with major medical, honestly doubled what everybody else is basically doing. Letice Rector, good job on the silver, and we're going to end with the bronze in major medical with Arthur Varala. Now short-term medical, Jacob Gordon leading the way with those with golden rule. Almost stayed pretty tight with Pete there with the major medicals to the short term, so that was pretty impressive. Elaine, good job with having the silver there in the golden rule. And Andrew Orlikoff, with silver there with the good old NatGen short term. Ancillary, Brian Jarvitz leading the way actually with dental. Just wanted to let everybody know that, kind of hopefully caught your ear there. So leading the way with Team Corp Dental, David Michael Taxer with the NatGen accident and critical illness, and then Elaine again in silver or in bronze there with CBL Dental. So really good sales week, really good product mix as well. Really strong major medical sales out there, really strong short term, especially with that golden rule. The golden rule is knocking it out of the park. But we had a lot of the NatGen sales. I'll tell you, NatGen was about 75% of the short-term medical sales. And ancillaries, as always, very, very important part of our sales process. So for those of you, this is your first Motivation Monday. The whole point is for us to have a quick, powerful call, about between 15 minutes and 30 minutes, so we can get you back on the phones. I thought we'd keep this first one of open enrollment a little short. So we're going to talk about effective communication. This is kind of important, especially during open enrollment, because your goal is going to be to get off the phone with your client as fast as possible so you can jump into another call. The whole point behind communication is really to minimize the number of calls it's going to take to close. So the skills we're going to talk through, we're only going to talk through 5 today, so it's going to be kind of quick. And the first one we're going to talk about seems really basic to some, to others. They actually told me, I don't think this fits, but actually it does. This is one of the most important parts of communication, and that is why I start with it, which is listen. I was talking yesterday to my friend who is a trainer in the Navy, and he said listening is the #1 most important communication skill. Because I said, hey, that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. What are your thoughts? He's like, listening. Like, well, it's interesting. He's like, that's what the military teaches you right off the bat, is to listen. I'm like, okay, we can work with that. So that's right. Most people think communication skills are just what we're saying. That's not true. Listening is the most important one. It's going to help you change your conversation if needed. It's going to help guide you with what you're doing. It's going to help tell you what your clients are thinking without them having to use words. A lot of people are afraid to use words with salespeople because they feel it's going to put them in a trap. That's not true. Really, a good salesperson is going to, if they're face-to-face, we're going to be able to read your body language. But if not, I'm going to be able to listen to, how's your breath changing? How is the way that you're using your words changing? Are you stagnating? Are you going to be changing your tone? Are you changing your different pace? So it is really important because it's going to tell you what the actual issue is. So the first thing, I would say the biggest thing to listen to when it comes to listening is listen to the prospect's tone. Are they going to go lower or are they going higher? If they're going to get nervous, if it's something that they're uncomfortable with, you're going to notice that their tone is going to start getting higher. Or if they're really excited, it's actually going to be their pace is going to speed up. So listen to the difference between that. If their pace is speeding up, yes, their tone's going to go higher, but that means that they're excited. But if their tone is just starting to go higher, that probably means that they are either telling a lie or they're completely uncomfortable. So listen to that. Tone is the first one. Low tone is good because that means they're comfortable, but if it's going to be a low tone with them slowing down, that means they're bored. So that's always a good one. So listen to distractions on that one. Another one for listening is going to be buzzwords of resistance. It is a common thing in sales. It's going to be, what words are your clients using that they are familiar with? to let you know that they're uncomfortable. Okay, so buzzwords of resistance are going to be things that they understand. No, 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 I want an 80-20 plan. And we all know with 80-20 that's coinsurance, and they don't know what their max out of pocket is, and they don't understand how a deductible works. But no, 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 I want an 80-20. It's, hey, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm uncomfortable. So when your client is using words that they are familiar with, that they think are lingo, that is going to say, hey, you know what? You need to stop what you're doing and analyze the situation and change. Another thing that listening is going to do, it's going to let you know about the attitude towards the products that you're selling as well. You know, if there's something that you're explaining and they're just sitting there, well, you know, I can see the value, but maybe this isn't going to be right. And if it's going to be one product that's going to throw off your whole sale, might be a good time to, you know, cut your losses, drop the product, and move on. Or if you really are damn determined and you're talking to somebody who's sitting there with kids and you're like, you need to have this accident product, maybe it's a time when you need to go through, stop and tell a story. Tell a different story. Make it relate to them. Tie them into the conversation. So it's kind of the first technique would be listening. Listen to tone, listen to pace, listen to what words they're using that they think are familiar to you. So they're buzzwords of resistance, and that's going to really let you know what their attitude is overall. So the second one for effective communication skills here is kind of one that people should all be doing. It should be mimicry. People find the word mimicry to be insulting. Some salespeople say, hey, we're called lizards. No, absolutely not. What we're trying to do is I'm trying to provide you comfort. That is the most important part of mimicry. If you're talking to somebody who's very put together and very organized and you're sitting there and you're just lost in the wind trying to pull products out of nowhere, it's not going to work. You need to be able to mimic not only their tone, so do they have a firm tone that they're going to go through and they like to talk really firm? They want to talk to someone organized. Are they somebody who's kind of more lost and kind of drifting? That is fine. You need to mimic them as much as possible. A lot of salespeople say, you know what? Actually, this is something I'm really good at. Do this for me. Record one of your phone calls, okay? Listen to it back. Are you sounding just like yourself, or actually are you starting to match what the prospect is saying? Okay, with mimicry, it's also important to use verbiage. So is it somebody who doesn't like to use big complex words, who likes to just go through slowly and more comfortably? You need to do that. Is it someone who has a very laid back? I mean, I'm in Southern California. The verbiage out here is completely different than when I lived in the Midwest. You just need to match what their verbiage is. Also, their attitude as well, kind of like what I'm saying. Are they laid back? Are they stoic? Are they business? Are they sophisticated? What is it? Another one, especially right now, considering the election is tomorrow, ideology is a really good one to mimic. Never argue religion or politics with a client on the phone. You laugh, I will tell you, I've had people do it last week. I've already had to have those conversations with, I understand that what your belief is, just smile, agree, and move on. Drop it, smile, agree, and move on. Mimicry is important because it's going to make the client comfortable, and the most important part about making the client comfortable is that we're sales agents. Our goal is to find what your issue is and match it. We're not going to actually find out what your issue is, and I'm not going to match it with the right product if you're not comfortable. So mimicry, extremely important. Match their tone, match their verbiage, and match their attitude. And don't argue with them. It seems silly and stupid, but don't argue with them. Next one is positive association. Again, we're only going to be doing 5. So the middle one, positive association. This is a really common one for salespeople to drop the ball on. So positive association is people want to work with positive people. They want to work with someone who's fun, and they want their friends to work with that as well. So if you're answering the phone and you've had 5 no-shows as far as it goes with appointments, you're having no luck contacting new people, and you talk to the first person and you play that Eeyore card on them, they're not going to like it. What we used to say is it's kind of like the thought behind a toilet: flush, move on. Flush what happened in the past, just move on. So positive association, every call should be new, every call should be positive. If you're feeling you're negative, try this: stand up. Stand up when you're talking. You will have so much more energy. Lean in as well. Those are 2 things that are going to help you sound really, really positive, even if you're having such a bad day. So people want to work with people who are fun. I tell a quick story that I actually went through a drive-through once, and this person absolutely made my day. I was having a really, really bad day, and they started out just saying, you know, what can I get for you made perfect today? And it was like, whoa, you completely threw me off. I wasn't expecting that. I had such a good experience that I called all of my friends that were at my job, and I told them, you have to go through this drive-through. You have to experience this person. They do the same with insurance. It seems small, it seems silly. They do the same. People want to work with people who are positive. People want their friends to work with people who are positive, and they feel safer, right? Unless you have that complete Eeyore on the phone who hates the world and wants to drag you down with them, you may have to be dragged down a little bit in mimicry to make them feel safe. The whole point is you want the customer to feel safe, to tell you the truth. Also, right now being election season, watch what negative words and negative phrases that you're saying. So when you're talking, try not to use negative words like can't, won't, shouldn't, unless you're saying, oh, you know what, this product actually can't do that for you. But you want to keep everything as positive as possible with your words. Really watch what you're saying, because you'd be shocked. Again, record the call, listen back to it, listen what negative words you may or may not be using. You might be shocked a little bit. And as well as here, this is a funny one during open enrollment because everybody's going to come into you, everyone's going to jump on the phone, all of your new clients are going to pretend like they have been shopping. I'm personally a big fan of social media right now because everybody who doesn't work in insurance becomes insurance professionals. And as us, you know, this is our full-time job. This is what we do. We know what's going on, but they don't. So biggest thing is KISS. Keep it simple, and the extra S stands for stupid if anybody's ever watched The Office, so it's KISS. So keep it simple. Keep it simple. If you're sitting there, you're talking to somebody, never use insurance lingo. Never overcomplicate the situation. Keep it as relatable as possible. Again, if you're doing mimicry right, you're going to tie it back to them. And you're going to tie it back to them positive, which is extremely important. So keep it simple. Never use insurance lingo, ever, ever, ever. If you are using insurance lingo, you need to stop and explain what it is to the customer. Even though they're going to be like, oh yeah, I know how that works. Like, oh yeah, you know I do, but I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Because half the time you're not going to be. So don't use insurance lingos. Be careful when you're talking about, you know, max out of pockets, or, you know, sitting there talking about deductibles. You know, this is going to be the first amount that you're going to spend. Then we're going to split the bills until you pay this. That is actually how I explain what a deductible, coinsurance, and a max out of pocket is to a client. Never once do I say those words. Unless the client goes, what was the deductible on this plan again? Okay, so grab a pen and paper. Your deductible is this, your coinsurance is this, this is your max out of pocket. Keep it simple. Try to not use insurance lingo as much as possible, other than ones that you think people know. Copays, they know what it is, but make sure to explain again what it is, because a lot of people don't know what a copay is. And they don't understand that, hey, you may be paying a copay, but after the copay, there may be additional costs if you're going in to get lab work done. So make sure not using insurance lingo, because if you do, it will be confusing. Be relatable. And then another thing about this, and this, if this is something you don't do now, do it. Have clients repeat it back to you so you know they understand. Whenever you use any insurance term, always have them repeat it back to me. I mean, that is very important. That's going to say, yes, we're on the same page. You understand what is going on. You understand why it's going on. And it's actually going to shorten your phone call. You're going to be like, if I do that all the time, it's going to take forever. No, because you're not going to have to answer questions at the end. Again, the goal of this is to get you through the call as quick as possible, get you to the close. If you have them talk back to you, that's really going to help them close themselves. And talking about closing themselves is the most important part of, I think, communication, next to listening, which is my personal, is going to be how do you ask questions? The insurance process is a funnel. That's the way you should think of it. Okay, you're going to start by having them do a lot of talking to no talking, right? Other than just saying yes. So it's going to say when to use an open-ended question and when you use a closed-ended question. So an open-ended question you use at the very beginning of your conversations or when you're not making ground. The trick behind open-ended questions is asking the question and being silent. There's a lot of power in silence in sales. So these are questions that are going to start with, tell me about, what do you, how do you, who could you, why would you? So these are questions that are going to get them to talk, going to get them to tell a story. So how would you see yourself using this dental plan? What are you looking for? How are you looking for it? How have you used it in the past? It's going to be something that they're going to have to say more than 5 words to respond to. I want them to talk. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to also feel like they're driving the conversation, even though they're really not. Open-ended questions are extremely needed, and that is how you start the conversation. We talked about a 4-step sales process. You do a quick introduction, and then you jump right into your fact-finding. Fact-finding is all open-ended questions. All open-ended questions. The third step in the sales process is going to be when you're doing a presentation. You should already have done all of your open-ended questions, so then you get to close-ended. That's when you want them just to agree and give you yeses. Yeses are positive, so again, you're trying to keep it positive in people's minds, and it'll get you closer to your end goal of sales. The only option when you're asking a close-ended question should be yes. I did a talk about open versus close-ended questions, and one of the agents left, and I was listening to him, and he was just doing close-ended questions, but he kept getting no's. I'm like, listen to the way you're forming the question. You want them to do yeses. So do you see the benefits of having this plan? Do you see why people like to have the $50 first benefit doctor office visits? Things that are going to just get them to say yes. If you can get them to say small yeses through your whole presentation, the final yes at the close is going to be that much easier. So again, open versus close-ended, it's really important in communication. Open's what you're going to be using during fact-finding. Close-ended was what you're going to be using when you're presenting the plan and closing the customer. Closes should always be yes. Open should always be letting them talk and telling the story. These 5 things with communication, if you do them right, are actually going to help speed up your sales process, even though it seems kind of weird at the beginning, but listening, super, super important. Keeping it positive, keeping it relatable, mimicking the customer, open versus close-ended questions, and knowing when to use them. It's going to be extremely important and extremely, extremely helpful. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to email training@ahcpsales.com. That is what we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to make things as effective as possible. If you want to talk through open versus close-ended questions or have any other additional questions on anything we've covered in past Motivation Mondays, please, please do. And I thought we'd end with a pretty good quote here. So effective communication is 20% of what you know and 80% about how you feel what you know. So it's really about having that positive attitude, walking in with that confidence and making everything relatable to your customer. So if you need anything throughout this week, feel free to reach out. I hope you're having a great second week of open enrollment. And if there's anything we can do here at AHCP Sales, don't hesitate to ask. Have a great Monday, everyone.